Gord, it is so great to see you guys in, at least this way, because I think the last time I saw you guys in person was when, oh God, what the hell was it again? Was
It was
closing
the
down.
Hard Rock Cafe,
Hard Rock Cafe was closing
Okay,
down.
yeah. Yeah.
Dundas Square, the big one. Yeah,
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 yeah.
and I miss that place, and I miss the fact that it was there, and now there's a Shoppers Drug Mart, but there was just something really cool about having the Hard Rock Cafe right there, at Young Dundas Square. I miss that
yeah.
place.
It's a bit
Uh,
of our Toronto history, but also just think how innocent things were then. This is before COVID, right? So we're kind of sad about a bar closing, it's Toronto institution, but we had no idea bigger troubles were around the
The
corner.
corner, yeah.
oh my goodness, the way
Yeah.
you just said, yeah, like Sandy, I'll let you start off because there's so much I want to talk about. I mean, how do you feel about what we've been seeing? COVID, the new term Karen is like should be in the dictionary now. Just all the crazy things, and of course, great artists not being able to perform, venues closing down in Toronto, iconic venues. Like it's been rough.
It's been really rough. But fortunately for ourselves, we've been trying to find very innovative ways to keep ourselves out there. During the whole thing, we've done some strange things like playing on the rooftops of buildings. So everyone's down below looking up at us. We've played on a boat going down the canal system so people along the shoreline can hear us play. And we played on
We
a
played
private
island,
island,
uh,
on a
drive
barge.
theaters,
Yeah.
anywhere they let us play.
I love that. That's old school. That's the way you do it. You just get out there. I was curious. Did you guys, Corey? Did you guys have a show that you were supposed to do over on New Year's Eve? I couldn't remember or not
We
because some
Yeah,
of the things that were supposed to be canceled.
It didn't get canceled.
It didn't.
Ours was one of the only ones that didn't get canceled because they had already prepared for possibility of this. So they had already decided they were only going to sell so many tickets. So it would always be at that lower capacity and very up close and personal in the sense that everyone was isolated, but it was very intimate. And so we were the only show in Niagara Falls that lasted.
Wow.
Yeah.
which is kind of
Amazing.
good because I don't know if you know or not, but I had COVID. I got it about a month ago and I recovered now fully. So I was a bit worried nobody would show up, wondering is Gord going to be in trouble? But no, we worked to
It was
find out.
it was sold out.
Yeah.
It was minimal size, but it was sold out.
Oh, I am so glad that the show happened because it just seemed like I was getting emails just saying canceled, 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 canceled. I was to a
Yeah.
point where I was just like, I can't see anymore. I'm just assuming everything's canceled. But good to
Yeah.
see that old school can beat the hell out of COVID no matter what. And I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. I want to ask you guys this, and either one can answer this because ever since, especially since COVID has hit for the last 3 years, um, I have been so, as you can see, I've got my Duran Duran shirt on, so 80s, it's been ridiculous. I have been like combing back to the old albums, recording them, dumping them down so that I can play them back. I've been hunting for 80s music. I can't get enough
I
of
know why.
80s. Why? That's what I ask you. Why do you
You know why? No, we've talked about this because 80s music for us is like comfort food. It's like the good times, that we want to hold on to. And especially when this clears up, this COVID thing, all of us are going to be flocking back to want to see those bands and relive that good time in our lives because we're craving it big time. So you put on your Duran Duran or your Depeche Mode or Madonna, whatever. And it's like having
Or
a bowl of
Spoons?
good stew or something.
Yeah, spoons.
Yeah,
True,
it
sure.
is. Like,
Yeah.
I know for myself back in the day where I had my carefree Jerry curl going, and I had my '86 Camaro T-bar. I always have to say
Right.
T-bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way my balloon pants and just like all the great stuff that was going on. But was also great too was to be able to drive in my Camaro, turning the music up and listening to bands like the Spoons, and so many other great Canadian bands.
Yeah.
When you look back at that, to me, you guys and a lot of Canadian groups helped bring in a new era. And when I say that, because the world was so used to, of course, and much respect to the Anne Murrays and the Gordon Lightfoots and the Guess Who and so forth and so on. But somewhere when the 80s hit, suddenly there were these new exciting bands that if you said, no, they're Canadian, they're like, no, 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 they're from England, they're from Australia. No, they're from Canada.
Yeah, it was a couple of things because we were sort of nestled between America and England. So we got more of the sort of British vibe that America wasn't quite getting yet. So we were kind of, ahead of on that curve. And also because Much Music, like the video age, we caught that just as we were on the very first episode of Much Music. How good was that? And overnight with our video, everybody knew who we were. That was a real plus. I don't know what you think, Sandy, but I think those are two elements that were key to that time.
And as far as songwriting and so forth goes, from where we came from, we kind of came from a prog rock, not even rock, prog music. We were, very influenced by Genesis and Van de Graaff Generator. And we were writing epic songs before the Spoons. We were a band called Trist, and they were 8-minute epic songs. And when music started to shift, we thought, why don't we take the best of our kibbles and bits of this stuff and create the sound of what Spoons is today?
But it wasn't just that. And sorry to interrupt. I mean, it wasn't just that. You guys, and a lot of groups, Parachute Club was a great example of this too. You all were able to have great beats, great rhythm. But at the same time, with maybe sometimes people not even realizing, you guys were talking about the state of the world at the same time. That was genius.
Right. Well, especially, a song like Rise Up, absolutely. That's an anthem, right? And Nova Heart is too. People think it's a love song. It's not. It's really kind of an anthem to perseverance of the human spirit and stuff, like this big Nova Heart, which encompasses everything and bigger than all of us, almost a spiritual thing, right? So yeah, you're right. It wasn't all about partying and like a lot, like people think and relationships and the road. No, there was some, look at bands like Simple Minds and Ultravox. They were pretty heady stuff. It wasn't just throwaway pop music. Yes, it was a weird combination of really frivolous hair and makeup and shoulder pads, but some pretty great, music that's got longevity.
I don't care. Look, the fashion thing, I think people are still trying to copy that today. And I am convinced at some point, all of that fashion is going to come back right down to the hair.
Yeah.
It is going to happen. And thank God for me, I have kept, I've got my 80s Aldo shoes. I've got about 3 of them, especially I got one of the crayon.
Aldo,
I've got one of the crayon shoes, the one where you had the clear bottom. I don't know if you guys remember those, but they were called crayon shoes, and I still have mine. Like I said, I loved all of that stuff. But the other thing too that I loved what you guys did musically was you guys brought people together. When I say that, I mean, it didn't matter if you're black, white, gay, whatever. It was a time where when you were at the clubs or if you heard music or people were coming together and dance, you weren't looking at what this person looked like or whatever. You just came and you celebrated. You guys are amazing at doing that and bringing people together like that.
I think so, because it was like 10 years of party, it was everybody's invited to the party. And like you say, it was more about, dressing up and looking good and style and hopefully some good music than all the other stuff that we're so worried about now. We're lucky we got to experience that, and that's why the kids are gravitating toward now, because they realize, man, we really missed out on a really spectacular time in history of music, right? And that's why there's so many bands that have flavors of the 80s, and a lot of that fashion is coming back. Like you see even somebody like Machine Gun Kelly, his music is really 80s, but you go like that's the clothes I would wear in the 80s, like really colorful and over the top stuff. Dropping the whole shoegazer, dressing like everybody else thing, with jeans and leather jackets and stuff. It was over the top. It was theatrical. It was crazy, but amazing.
It's funny you say that because I was actually listening to the Weeknd's album yesterday, and that's got so many 80s elements. Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Insane.
Oh yeah, totally. Like when I hear what was this big hit from the last one? Not Blinding Lights, but the other one, Save a Tear, or
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
To me, that's like Pet Shop Boys meets like, a couple other things. But I'm thinking, man, he must have writers, right? He's got to get us in there because we were there, right? We'll give him a couple ideas. I would love to work with the Weeknd.
Yeah.
Sandy, where would you say was your favorite venue or favorite concert that you performed at back in the day?
Oh, geez. Well, definitely the police picnic. That
Oh,
was yeah,
I
we played.
forgot about the police
Yeah.
picnic.
82, yeah,
Yeah,
1982.
we were basically still playing to smaller crowds of, you say, 1,000 or 2,000 people, and suddenly, bam, 40,000 people. It was a little overwhelming, and I don't know if I was more excited about performing in front of 40,000 people or being part of all the bands backstage and meeting everybody. I mean, that was just as exciting.
Who was all there? You remember who was there?
Well, the Flock of Seagulls were there.
Joan Jett, I think.
Well, the police, the police were running around backstage too.
Talking Heads.
Talking Heads. Now that was fun. There was Tina Weymouth. She was about to have her first child, and she had this neat belt because she bops her out on stage like crazy. And she was like 7 months pregnant, and she's got this belt around her tummy holding the baby so that she can bounce around on stage. And she's playing the bass to the side because she can't hold it out front of her.
Oh my goodness! You name me all these names. I'm getting like literally shivers from all this. But as much as we had 10 years of great times, when things started to shift and change, how did the Spoons change themselves in continuing to where we are today?
Well, we never stopped. People think, oh, you guys went away and you disbanded and then you came back. We'd always have an occasional show throughout the whole time. Maybe it would be only 3 shows in 1 year, but we were always still performing. But we also then branched off and did a few of our own solo projects and played with other bands for a while. But then when things started to shift a little bit towards the end of the 90s, back to the 2000s, things started to ramp back up again for us. And there was a demand for 80s music. So we were still ready to go. We never stopped.
But you know what? At the beginning of the 90s, we thought it was done. We thought nobody would ever want to hear 80s music again, right? Well, we were so wrong. It was only like 5 years. I think 95 was about the time I first started noticing a bit of resurgence, the retro 80s thing. Thought, it'll last a year or two. We'll see what happens. And here we are, still in it. So.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I never thought I would ever hear the word retro with the music that I love so much, It's just, crazy. But yeah, I love the fact that seeing you guys perform, because I remember you guys performed at Young Dundas Square. The place was packed. And you guys did such an amazing show there. And then getting a chance to talk to you guys about new music that you guys have been releasing, whatever. There is a new album or CD that you guys have.
A whole bunch of them. That's like 3 within the last few years. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through them, because the one I wanted to talk about, I think it's Echoes.
Mm.
Yeah,
that's the main one.
That was the last one that just came out. But in 2019, we put out New Day, New World. It was all brand new material.
Yes.
And then
how's that for a title? No.
Yeah, New Day, New World. And then while the beginning of the pandemic was happening, we were doing videos by virtual by our phones and getting our friends to send in stuff, and we were dedicating it to the frontline workers and so forth. And then last May we released on CD our greatest hits package. We finally got our songs that were kind of tied up with Anthem for years and years and years, from Bridges and Vertigo Tango album, and we collaged it together, and
double vinyl. Which is every band's dream, right?
Yeah. Yes. And then it came out in vinyl in August, double vinyl.
Love it.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
It opens up. Wait, open that up again. Let me see. Oh, man.
That's like every band's dream, to have an album you can open up.
Damn right.
Yeah, so it's double vinyl, and it's on 180 gram vinyl, so it's nice and thick, and it's really yummy. It's really yummy.
But the best one, like you say, one of our proudest achievements, I think, is Echoes, and it's all these 80s bands from around the world, like England, Australia, United States, Canada, of course, doing their own versions of our songs. Like, and each one is better than the other. Like, nobody mailed it in. They all put so much work into it, because we decided to put the profits toward the Unison Fund, which helps support Canadian music industry in this time. So we got everybody in there, from Canadian people like Gowan and Strange Advance, Glass Tiger, The Box, CanCon. I mean, it goes on and on. Then we got When in Rome, who did The Promise from England. They did 2 songs, and Real Life from Australia. Just a great list. Somebody from Prodigy and Marilyn Manson in there. right from like stripped down to classical piano version, like RE Symphonies by Gowan, to over the top screamo of Bridges Over Borders by, the guys from Prodigy. So pretty amazing.
How do you organize something like that? How do you contact these artists and say, hey, can you do? I mean, that shows so much respect for what you guys have done over the years.
Yeah, it was a bunch of things, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm a guitar player with the Flock of Seagulls for the last 4 years.
Yes.
So I tour with those guys, do a lot of 80s big shows. So I meet all these bands, right? So, and it started with the singer from Information Society. I don't remember them.
Yep.
They're from Texas, I think. He said, I kind of like that song, Nova Heart. Do you mind if you do a cover? I said, yeah, sure. Oh, go ahead. And then there's this young band that are not 80s, but they love 80s from LA called Felix and the Foreshadow. They're up and coming. They've been on like America's Got Talent and stuff, but they love 80s music. He said, let's talk about emotions. Can we do it? Sure, go ahead. Then I'm like, wait, there's an idea for an album. These two people got me thinking, and everybody I asked was on board. So there's 14 tracks total, and it's brilliant.
It is. Oh my God. Sorry, Sandy, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, anybody who's interested in getting it, I mean, it is distributed through Universal, through stores and so forth. But if you want to get it directly from us, you can go to spoonsmusic.com and you can get it directly from us, and we'll sign it for you too, if you like.
Yeah, speaking of signing, did I see that there's a guitar that you signed that looks like it's going to be, it's like what, at $22,000 and it's being auctioned?
27,000 it went for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everybody's on there.
Everybody. Gord unfortunately didn't make it. He was in the middle of his COVID situation.
I know.
So I had to sign it on behalf of both of us. Yeah. Greg Godovich put it together, and all the proceeds went to helping the relief for the flooding in BC.
And there you go. Gatto, another great, great band too. I always kick myself now, and if I could go back a little bit in time when I first started doing this music reporting, whatever, I always say to myself, I should have got a guitar, and I should have just had just every damn person I ever spoke to.
Pick up the one behind you and do plays the one.
I wish. I wish. Oh man, I wish I did that, but You know what? It's still an honor for me to know that when I was a kid watching Much Music and watching you guys on television with your music videos and performances and interviews, and if somebody said, yeah, you're going to know these guys, you're going to interview them, you're going to be buddies with them, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Let me get back in my Camaro and go drive down Yonge Street and cruise.
Oh, we feel the same way about you. Like, you're like, music. I mean, man, pretty incredible what you've done.
No, you guys, like I said, it's because of you guys and what you've done, which is able for me to do what I do. But let's look into the future, though. What is happening throughout 2022? Whoever thought I would be able to say 2022?
Yes.
Even though, as we speak in Ontario, we're shut down in some of the other provinces too. Are there any plans that you guys will be doing? And plus the fact with the Junos coming back to Toronto, is there any way that you guys might be involved with that? Because I think there should be an 80s kind of thing, and just, representing, because a lot of the acts came from Toronto and they really helped put Canadian music on the map.
Yeah. Well, I think they're slowly, what do they call it, the lifetime achievement thing, or the sort of the special. They used to just do one. I think now they have one for different categories, just to catch up with all the 70s and 80s that they're never going to catch up with, right? So I think we're on the list for that somewhere. So maybe when I turn 85, I'll be walking up there, getting my award. But yeah, we were on it twice, I think, through the years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a while. And it's, is it going to go ahead, you think?
Well, because of where it's supposed to be, I think June or something like that. So they'll be able to do the outside kind of thing. So
we'd love to play on there. Put out the old outfits, like your baggy pants from our old tickle trunk. Go up there and do them.
I've told this. I actually put it on social media. I actually, my sister was going through my parents' basement, and she found, I call it now, my 80s treasure box, which I completely forgot about. Mm-hmm. Opened it up. I've got buttons, Prince, Michael Jackson, The Police. I've got pictures. I've got so many things that I completely forgot about, and I actually posted some of the stuff. And it was another sort of surge for me going, man, if I had a bad time back then, I honestly don't remember it because all I remember are the good times. Any chance new music, Sandy? Any chance new music is going to be coming from you guys for 2022 or 2023?
New music? Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if we will. We've been very busy just doing the last three things, but
Give us some time off. Come on.
No.
but we did just recently play the Elmo combo, and it was
Yeah.
all videotaped, and the whole 2 hours of the show was. So we're going to hopefully put out some sort of DVD package for the 40th
Yeah.
anniversary. Yeah.
What is
And
it
we had a
like to
lot of
play?
the,
No, sorry. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
we had a lot of the, it was our 40th anniversary, but it was also for the releases, and we had a bunch of the guests that were on the Echoes thing, like Clive from When in Rome. We flew up California, and people like that come play with us for the night. So it was a big variety show, really, and video hellos like you see on the Oscars. Like, sorry, I can't be there, but it's Gowan. I'm on the road with Styx, then I'm in Kentucky. So it was great. It was an extravaganza.
I love it. I was just going to ask, was it like to play the Elmo combo, knowing that you guys have played the Elmo combo back in the day when it was raw and anything could happen anywhere?
It's quite a bit nicer now.
Yeah, a lot
Very
nicer.
posh, yeah.
And I'm going to leave it
So
to
it was
that.
great. It was great. But you know what? We have to sort of guess where things were. Say, well, this is where the Windows used to be, and this is kind of where the old stage was. Because it's completely gutted and rebuilt, and a lot of money put into it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm just glad they have that. I'm hoping somebody decides to revamp the Bamboo and bring that back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it'd be a good place. Yeah.
oh my goodness, so many great venues. Classics are gone, but who knows? Maybe some of the new ones can become classics also. As we wrap this interview up, over 40 years, it's 4 decades. Who would have thought? But you guys have
I
done
know.
it.
Not me.
Not me either.
What do you think? Two questions. And both you can answer it. What do you think the staying power is for the Spoons? And two, what advice would you have for new bands in this new era that hopefully 40 years from now they can say they're celebrating 4 decades of music?
Well, first of all, I never thought we'd been around this long. So the fact that we have been, that people still care, I guess we might as well stick around and not go anywhere because people can't get enough, not just us, but our era. It's a nice package to be part of. We're just lucky that we were part of the 80s scene. And the other question, do you want to answer that one, Sandy?
Sure. I would say to any artist, they just got to keep at it and enjoy what you're doing, and enjoy your bandmates. Like we're watching so many artists these days pass away in front of us due to sickness or whatever. And, music's universal. It's a universal language that we all enjoy. And it's the best job in the entire world.
And one thing I should add to that is just be different. Don't try to we were never the best songwriters, never the best singers, guitar players, but we were different and stood out. So try to find that thing that makes you different. Make different your magic word. Like, don't try to be like everybody else on The Voice or on these talent shows. Like, find that little thing that sets you apart and just milk it, make it everything in your universe.
And I'll be honest with you this, man. Anytime if I'm in the subway and I accidentally bump into a wall, I think of you guys.
Derek.
Does that happen often?
Believe it or not, yeah, because my head is always somewhere else. So, folks, thank you so much for the great memories. Thank you for the stories. God, like I said, I could talk to you guys for hours.
Anytime.
But
Yes.
we'll definitely talk again before this year is done. But again, thank you for the great memories. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You.